the title of what I'm going to talk about this morning is Love is Required to Level Up. How many people want to level up in 2022? Right? I know everybody's muted, but I'm encouraged that everybody said yes, me, or raise their hand. Most people are looking to level up. And when I say level up, I mean, that can be in a lot of different areas. We're going to break that down in terms of which areas it is that we're trying to level up in. But the reality of what we may not recognize and what may have been one of the missing pieces for why we have yet to level up in a certain area is because love may be that missing piece. And it's very difficult for us, particularly as men, to be able to correlate. How does love really correlate with leveling up? And so that's my job today, is to be able to connect love with leveling up. And so at the beginning of every year, there is this excitement to, put down your New Year's resolutions. People say, you know what, this is going to be my year. My business is going to take off. That business I always wanted to do, I'm finally going to do. This is the year to get my relationships in order. This is the year to get my health in order. But we are all, as men, excited to succeed. We want to succeed. How many brothers here would love to succeed? Those resolutions that you write down have to come to fruition. But you see, a lot of us struggle because oftentimes the same goals that we set year after year are the same goals that we still trying to accomplish from year to year, right? So we are all trying to be successful. And there are three areas that we as men really care about. Whether you realize it or not, these are the three areas. Those three areas are in our career or business, okay? So we're trying to succeed in our career or business. We're trying to succeed in our relationships. Those relationships could be relationships with our spouse, relationships with our children, relationships with our friends, business relationships, but being able to relate to other people. And we're trying to succeed in our health, in our physical health, our mental health. So I kind of like to break those down as our finances, our family life, and our fitness. Those are the three areas that we are trying to succeed at a high level. And as men, we feel some kind of way about ourselves when we know we're not operating at the level of being able to maximize our potential in any one of those areas. When we know we fall short, we like, man, right? Because we have a vision for how we want to be in that area. That's what really gets to us as men. As a matter of fact, for many of us, that's what keeps us up at night. It's this idea of, man, am I going to be able to do enough? Am I going to fulfill the true potential I have? And those are the tangible, measurable areas that we really care about, okay? Now, in order for us to succeed as men, we have to be consistent in these areas. Would everybody agree? You got to be consistent. If you're going to be doing something in your health, you got to do more than go to the gym, for the first few weeks. How many people, real quick, realize that only 8% of people who set New Year's resolutions actually accomplish them? Only 8% of all these goals we about to set. And look, I'm guilty as charged too. Only 8% of the goals set in January actually get accomplished. Most of them fall off before February, right? So when you think about it, we got to be consistent in order to succeed. I got to consistently go to the gym. I got to consistently, do things in order to work on my relationship with my wife. I got to consistently go to work and do some things. But in order for us to have consistency, we got to be motivated. See, we as men, there's a certain motivation. We got to be drawn. We got to have some incentive, right? We got to be shooting for something. And if we are motivated enough, then we will be consistent. If we are motivated enough, we will be consistent. They work hand in hand. If I'm motivated enough, I will be consistent. But then when I see myself being consistent, I will therefore be motivated. But here is the challenge, is sometimes I just don't want to do the thing. Sometimes I just don't want to do the thing. It comes to my health. Yesterday was a workout day. Let me be real with y'all. I ain't want to work out. I didn't want to. Sometimes we get tired, right? It's time to record the podcast. I don't want to do it. I'm tired. Right? I want to do the thing, the task that I know is needed to consistently do that's going to equal results. But sometimes, fellas, our motivation, we lose our motivation. So how do you do the thing that you know you have to do in order to succeed, to be the men that we're supposed to be? Where do we get the motivation? Because here's the deal. There are a lot of things that we can be motivated by. But here's what I started to recognize is that people will start off the year motivated, but the motivation dies down, and therefore the consistency goes away, and then therefore the results go away. And then come 2023, we're trying to put the same goals on our goal sheet that we did before. So for many of us, what if the motivation was the missing thing? The lasting motivation, a lot of temporary motivation. Because look, I'm gonna be real with you. I have this struggle too. Like I told you, I didn't want to work out yesterday. Right? Sometimes I'll be real. I don't want to do that thing I got to do for my wife, to love my wife, and just be real. Don't leave me out here on an island. Y'all know. Sometimes I just don't want to make that cup of coffee in the morning just because I might be tired. Okay? I'm just being real. Sometimes I just don't want to do the thing. And all of us have used some level of motivation to get us going. Look, I've been motivated by money before. And I'm going to say some of these things, they're not bad, but here's what I recognize. They're very temporary motivations. If you need a season to just work hard to get something, you can be motivated by some of these things, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be lasting. If you're looking for lasting, like sustainability over time in a certain area. So I've been motivated by money. Look, when I was in med school, man, we was eating, crumbs for dinner. I had nothing. I said, man, one day I'm gonna make some money, right? One day I'm gonna make some money. That was my driving force. But at some point I started making money and the motivation wasn't there. I'm building businesses. I'm like, I'm gonna make this money. You make the money, then the motivation leaves. Right. So, making money. The other thing is being the man. I'm gonna do this thing, man, so I can be the man, so I get some status. We get motivated by influence. We get motivated by material things. I'm gonna do this thing, I'm gonna get that car, I'm gonna get this thing, I'm gonna get that trip or whatever. And so it's these things that we gonna be able to acquire. Money, power, and respect, right? Yes, these are things that are these temporary motivations directed toward ourselves. And look, I'm going to be real again. There's sometimes, man, I just might get that coffee. I just might do that thing because, look, we're talking about love this month because I know on the other side of me doing that might be a little bit of love for me from my wife. Y'all feel what I'm saying, right? But I might be motivated. Many of us might be motivated by sex. This is reality, right? Might be motivated by that. But here's what I've noticed is that each of those things that motivate us that I just mentioned, they turn into a very temporary motivation. It just don't last, right? Now, you may listen to some motivational speakers. You may listen to a lot of motivational speakers, and these people get paid a lot of money to motivate people for a certain period of time because when they go speak for a company, they motivate people so well that those people go work really hard after getting motivated. That's why they pay these people a lot of money because they're like, look, if we can get this person to come speak, it's actually going to turn into more money on the other end of that. But even that fades. We've seen that motivational speakers come in, productivity for a company goes like this, and then it goes back down. That's why they got to go bring another guy in. And they'll tell you, you can sometimes be motivated by anger, be motivated by money. Look, if you're trying to have sustainable success, right? If you're trying to change your lifestyle change, those things are seasonal motivations. But see, there's a motivation that I found that if you can tap into this motivation, it is sustainable success. It is transformative success in each of those areas that I talked about: fitness, finances, and family life. And that motivation is a motivation rooted by love. Instead of it being a self-directed motivation, which is what all those other things were, it's like everything was motivated for me to win. Everything was motivated for me to get something. Each one of those things, money, material things, money, power, respect, sex, is all the benefit of me. And you say, well, yeah, that makes sense, Dr. Brett. And yes, yeah, like in order for me to be motivated, I need to do something for me. But again, the common denominator of all those things, even though it's self-directed, is also very temporary. So instead of a self-directed motivation, a service-directed motivation, I started to realize was the game changer. And when I say service-directed motivation, it's basically love. So let me break this down real quick. So what is love? Now, this is my definition of love. This is what I've kind of extracted from the word. This is what I've seen in life. Love is an action. It is an actionable word. So I define love like this. It is an unconditional, meaning I ain't looking for something back from you. It's not based on any condition, but it's unconditional, selfless, not about me, act of kindness with the intention for the benefit of someone else. So I'm going to do something. You know, when you read 1 Corinthians, it said love is patient, love is kind. Those are all actions. So love is an action that's unconditional and selfless for the benefit of somebody else. Service, therefore, is an act of love. When I serve you, I'm looking for nothing in return. It is strictly for you, serving someone. Now, what is success? What I've seen success is basically defined by the quantity, the number of people, and the quality, how well you serve other people. Okay? If you serve more people, you will be more successful. The higher quality you give of service, the more people will be successful. And this is true in each of the areas of our life. So if we talk about our wealth, our finances, look, when you serve more people, it's like Chick-fil-A. When they serve more of them chicken sandwiches, guess what? They're most successful. And then the better quality with which they do that, that turns into success. So when you serve, service equals success. Well, hold up. Didn't we just say service is an act of love? Didn't we just say that? So when you work, when you serve, you can succeed. In your relationships, the more I serve my wife, I remember seeing a comedian, he said the only way a relationship works is one person out of a relationship got to be like Jesus. I thought that was hilarious. But the reality is that's true. When I serve, when I come from a Jesus perspective, say, I'm going to serve my wife. I'm going to serve, not looking for anything in return. Our relationship becomes more successful because I decided to serve unconditionally. And in our health, you say, how does that work? How does me going to the gym serve somebody? Because the best thing that you can do is be your best in the relationship of other people. If your health ain't on point and you're not around to be able to do the thing, that ain't helping nobody else. So one of the most selfish things is not to take care of you because you are the common denominator of being able to help other people. So if you don't do what you need to do for your health, that is selfish for not being able to be your best as a father, husband, business owner, leader. So yes, that means you got to get your butt in that gym so you can be your best. That's one of the most selfish things that I do is taking care of self because I am the common denominator of everything I got to do outside of here. So here's the motivation, fellas, and here's what I need you to start getting used to asking the question when you don't want to do the thing, when you say, you know what, I don't want to do the thing. I'm tired. I'm tired of doing it. I don't want to. I need you to ask this question. If I don't serve, who suffers? If I don't serve, who suffers? If I don't do the podcast, somebody ain't going to get that message. If I don't come and say, you know what, I got to get up early more. I got to do this. I got to be on here. I got to be in the national prayer call. Somebody may not hear this word. If I don't serve, who suffers? At work, if I don't serve, who's going to suffer on the end of that? And you got to just take it to like the nth extreme. If I don't serve my wife, she suffers. My kids suffer because they don't get a good example of what it looks like. See, when we start looking at our tasks, not based on us, but who suffers if we don't do it, it changes things. Let me tell you something. We will give up on ourselves all the time, but we will not let somebody else suffer if it comes to us. You see this on movies. They holding somebody else for ransom and holding somebody else's child for ransom. They'll turn over heaven and earth to try to get the person back because that person's about to suffer. Somebody else is about to suffer. We feel horrible when we've done something and realize, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that my actions turned into somebody on the other end hurting. If I don't serve, who suffers? If I don't go to the gym, I don't serve as a great example for my kids to be able to have fitness. If I don't go to the gym and do that, I'm not around for my family. If I don't serve, who suffers? If I don't love, who loses? In my work, in my relationships, in my health. And listen, I'm proof that it works. I read a book called The Go-Giver. I highly suggest people read it. It's called The Go-Giver. It's a phenomenal book. It kind of talks about this premise. It kind of breaks it down a little bit. But when I read that, it made my mind have this service-directed motivation. When I started doing this, I started seeing my work change. That when I walk into the room, that I'm here to serve. Well, once the service picks up and I'm more in love with the service than anything else, guess what? The success picked up. When I realized that my podcast was direct service for other people, it picked up, right? When I realized that my coaching was direct service for other people, it picked up. When I started realizing that I'm here to serve my wife, not to be served by my wife, guess what? My relationship got better. When I started realizing, you know what? Me going into the gym actually is serving other people, I became consistent. It wasn't just about me trying to have a beach body. What are we talking about, bro? We beyond that. Look at the life of Jesus. Do you really think he said, man, I'm just looking forward to this cross. This is the greatest thing since sliced bread. He didn't want to. He begged his father, right? But see, he knew if he didn't serve, we suffer. That was the motivating force for him to go through all that. 1 Corinthians says, let all that you do be done in love. And that's what the premise of what we're talking about here is, let all that you do be done in love. That's 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 14. It said, let all that you do be done in love. Let all that you do. Paul said, all that you do. Well, if you read verse 13, it says, be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong. And then he says, let all that you do be done in love. Like, what? That came from left field. What he's saying is, let all those things be done in love. Be watchful, do that in love. Stand firm in the faith in love. Act like men in love. Be motivated in all these things by love being the motivation to do those things. So the question is, how do we tap into this motivation? Because y'all know I ain't gonna let anybody off the hook without giving you some information. Like Brother Max said, that's going to lead to some transformation. How do we tap into this motivation? 3 things we got to focus on. We got to focus on prayer and pondering the word. We got to focus on the pain it's going to cost others, and we got to focus on the pleasure it will bring others. So 1, we got to focus on prayer and pondering the word. What this does when we focus on prayer and pondering the word in 2022 is it fills our cup. It fills our cup. When my cup is full, I don't need to come to the business needing my cup filled by succeeding in the business. I can focus on you when my cup is full. Okay? So now when my cup is full, I can go fill the cups of others. Okay? Too many of us are in need of other things to fill our cup, which is why we're so self-motivated. I gotta do this to make myself feel better. Well, let's go to God, get our cup filled, feel great about ourselves so we can go fill the cups of others. Okay, that puts us in perfect position to succeed. Second thing is we got to focus on the pain it'll cost others. That's what I talked about before is what is it going to cost? Like, who loses, who suffers if I don't do that? But then think about the pleasure it's going to bring others, because God said for the joy set before him, he endured the cross. He could see how we would have salvation as a result of what he did. He was excited because of that joy of what it would do. He was excited that he was going to be sitting at the right hand of the Father, right? And so here's what I want you to do, fellas. I want to imagine your goals being achieved. I want you to imagine 2022, your goals being achieved. For many of us, it's the missing piece that we just talked about. But I want you to imagine being consistent. I want you to imagine being able to say, you know what, I don't want to right now, but who's going to suffer and say, you know what, I got to get my butt up. It's time to move, right? Imagine success in each of these areas, but it's going to require love in order to level up.